welcome to the next episode of Inside Out Triangle, where we think outside the box. We are focusing on historical horror stories. Hi, my name is Teray, and I'm here with my husband and my daughter. Now, I did want to preface this particular video by saying that the last videos that I've had, they do depict violence as well as graphic scenes. So please prepare to be shocked and amazed for what actually is going to happen in this particular story, okay? Now, usually I completely forget one thing. If you see my other two videos, you'll know what I'm talking about. So this time I did actually remember to bring napkins. So everybody has a plate. When they come out, I will give them their napkins and we'll go ahead and start the mukbang. Now, what I did was this time we ordered from a wonderful Italian restaurant in our neighborhood. I got sodas, French fries. We have chips with onion dip, which is down here. Bring that up so you can see it. Chips and onion dip, which is my favorite. Is this onion dip? Yeah, French onion dip. And then we got a huge Italian hoagie, 22 inches. This one here is an Italian hoagie. It has ham, capicola, provolone. I got lettuce, tomatoes, onions, salt and pepper, oil and vinegar on here with extra mayo because I love extra mayo. Sorry guys, I do. I love extra mayo. And then this one here is a cheesesteak classic. That's what they called it. So it is just steak and cheese, excuse me, with cheese sauce. So that's it. So and fried onions too. So we both of these are 22 inches. They are huge. I don't know if you can actually see them from beginning to end, but they're huge. There you go. It's even heavy too. So I do want to thank that restaurant because they cut it off into pieces. So let's go ahead and eat. Let's everybody eat. Got me some fries. Got the French fries. I've added a little salt, pepper, and the Slap Your Mama seasoning. I got that from Amazon because my cousin-in-law was talking about this seasoning so bad on Facebook. I had to try it. And it's really good. It almost tastes like Old Bay, except it's really tasty. Oh, Mr. Plate. It's really tasty and just a little bit spicy. So today's historical horror story is entitled The Waco Horror. And I'm saying Waco, W-A-C-O. The Waco Horror. Let me go ahead and show you a piece of this cheesesteak so you can see how delicious it looks. With that delicious cheese sauce. Fried onions. And that cheese sauce. Yep. I'm going to go to town on this one right here. With my napkin.
Yeah, this is good. It's real good.
Oh man, this one's good. Napkin? 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 Anybody need napkins?
This do taste like Philly.
You like it?
Yeah.
This is good. I just needed a little extra mayo. But I didn't want to mess up the cheese sauce by adding mayo. But it's good.
The cheese whiz.
I think so. It's like a mild cheese sauce in there. It's all over the steak. It's really good. My daughter who loves steak and cheese, cheesesteak. There's a difference depending on what part of the country you're in. But because we're in Pennsylvania, it's an actual cheesesteak. has yet to get hers. So I guess she's gonna get hers during the story. The actual mukbang part. But the bread is so soft and the meat is really tasty. It's really good. One more bite. Okay.
Can you explain why they call it a mukbang?
It's my understanding. My husband asked me why do they call it a mukbang. It's my understanding because I was introduced to this world through my daughters. They love mukbangers. And I was like, what are you watching? So they introduced me to this world where you're basically eating a lot of food on camera. And I believe it started in Korea, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct? She's shaking her head yet. I don't know what the word actually means. I'll try. If you know, please comment below. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. If you know what mukbang actually means, if I'm actually saying it correctly, please just comment below. We're all about learning on this channel. Let me get another fry. I thought he was going to ask me why was it called the Waco Horror. Not trying to stump me, but that was good. That was a good question. Okay. So I'm going to open up the story part with asking, have you ever been to court? Now, I'm not trying to get in your personal business, but I've been to court twice. I've been to court because I keep getting summoned for jury duty. It's almost like clockwork. Every 10 years, my name pops up in the system. And when you go in, it's already intimidating. The way the courtroom is set up, you got the jury stand over here. You got the lawyers that are presenting their intelligent cases. You got the defendants. You got to listen to everybody closely and intently. The judges up high. And all these people are making decisions about something that person did or didn't do. They're presumed innocent. So as soon as you walk in, you're already intimidated. So I'm going to need you to think about a 17-year-old boy. His name was Jesse Washington. He was 17 years old. And he was a farmhand who lived in Waco, Texas. He worked for this family. It was a husband and a wife on the farm. Now, according to some reports, there was some sort of issue over the way they treated him, as well as some mules. So the wife ended up dead. This happened May 15th, 1916. So the sheriff comes because a witness said that the last person that they saw with the wife was young Jesse Washington. Jesse's black, the wife is white. The sheriff comes, knocks on Jesse's door. Jesse has bloodstains on his overalls. Please understand that they characterized him as diminished. He had diminished intelligence. And he couldn't really convey his words all that well. So when they asked him about the blood, he stated that he had a nosebleed, and that's why he had bloodstains on his overalls. So they arrested him. They took him to jail, and they're ready to go ahead and take him to court. So they assigned him several inexperienced attorneys. These attorneys have no defense for Jesse. They came up with absolutely nothing. The only thing that they said about Jesse was that he was placid.
Hold on, what did he do?
They're saying that he killed the farmer's wife. He raped and murdered the farmer's wife over some mules and the way that she treated him. So that's why the sheriff came and arrested him. So the lawyers have absolutely no defense for the boy. He gets up on the stand, and the prosecution asks him, hey, did you do this? Now, according to reports, remember, he has diminished intelligence. And not only that, but they had told him that if he said he did it, then they would protect him against any kind of lynch mob that might come for him. So he agreed. So when he got up on the stand, they asked him, did you do this? And he said, yeah, I did it. What is done is done. As soon as he said that, they sent the jury back to the deliberation room. They said it took 4 minutes. 4 minutes in the deliberation room. They came back and they rendered the verdict guilty.
Because he said he did it.
Because he said he did it. You got to see this Italian hoagie. It's loaded. Look at that. And I don't know about you, but I love capicola with extra mayo. Yes. I don't know why my daughter just sitting there chilling.
It's real good.
My husband says it's real good. Let's take that first bite. Even the crunch. The bread is so soft. The crunch of the onions. The oil and the vinegar. It tastes really great. That is so good. So, they wanted to rush Jesse off to prison. Because even though lynching was illegal in Waco, Texas, at the time, they knew a mob was forming. Because it was about 1,200 people in the courtroom. And they said that it was like a phone tree. Before phone trees and phones were actually invented.
Oh, this is 1916?
Yeah. Let me get that right. 1916. So one person told another person, another person told another person, another person told another person. He's guilty. So they said, let's hurry and get him out of here so he can go to jail. It was too late. By that time, it was 10,000 people outside the courthouse. I'm sorry, I'm incorrect. They said the account was between 10,000 to 15,000 people that was outside the courthouse. They came into the courthouse. They took a chain and wrapped it around Jesse Washington's neck. Remember, the boy is only 17. They beat him, and then they dragged him out into the road. While they're dragging him, they are now stabbing him. So they've beaten him, put a chain around his neck, they're stabbing him. He's screaming out in pain. At this point, they decide to hold him down, and they castrated him. Somebody picked up that piece and kept it. There was actually a record of it where somebody kept that particular piece when they castrated him. They dragged the boy to the courthouse. To the middle of the city hall. And they cut off his fingers. They built a bonfire. They cut off his toes. They took his fingers and his toes and they strung them up over top of the fire. So all of that was like above the fire. I'm sorry. He's still alive at this point. They wrapped him around a post, and they continued to raise him up and down. Here's the post. They continued to raise him up and down over top of the fire for 2 hours.
Was his like hands tied behind his back and stuff? Because I think I saw that picture before.
There's pictures all over the internet, and I'll get to that how that happened in just a moment. Don't let me forget that part. I'm not sure if his hands were behind his back.
Well, he was strung like way up on like a post.
Right, way up on a post. And they kept raising him up and down to prolong his suffering. That's what they said. And I want to make sure I get every piece right. I'm sorry, they did pour oil over him before they put him on the post. So that would continue to, increase his suffering. The poor boy, he tried to climb up the chain while this was happening to him, but it was impossible because he had no fingers. So after the 2 hours, he's dead. His suffering is over. He's done. He's dead. But the mob is not done. There were actual children there. And that mob between 10,000 and 15,000 people, there were children there. They had came to see this during their lunch break. The sheriff was there. He instructed them not to stop the lynching. The mayor was there. He instructed them not to stop the lynching. Because the sheriff wanted everybody to know how hard he was on crime. And the mayor was up for re-election. So there was politics involved in this as well. Am I the only one that's eating?
I just ate a whole.
Yes, thank you. He did. He ate a whole half of a slab. Certain people. There's soda. There's chips and dip and a cheesesteak.
I'll take a cheesesteak.
Thank you. He's coming to get some cheesesteak.
Wait, take the middle piece because I want that piece.
This is yours? No. There ain't that much steak. Just bread. I guess it's okay.
So after they had his torso, because at this point, things had fallen off. His arms, his legs, all that had fallen off. So it was just a torso. People came up and would take bits of the chain. They would take bits of his body parts, bits of his limbs, and they sold them as souvenirs. Like if you were at Six Flags or something. They actually sold these pieces of this person, this young boy, as souvenirs. Now, at this time, the mayor had heard, of course, he had heard about the mob that was coming. So he instructed a professional photographer to come and take pictures of this. And this is like one of the first times. Now, they have taken pictures before of different lynchings. But this is the first time it was professional pictures. And it wasn't just the body and the mob. It was everything. It was him on the post. That's why when you look on the internet and see the pictures, you see everything. It was him on the post as he's burning. It's also his torso. And you'll see all these people just standing around watching this happen.
Because in 1916, cameras got better and stuff.
Is that why?
I mean, yeah, because before then,
Wow.
photography wasn't all that good.
Mm-hmm.
So by that time, it was starting to get better.
Wow.
You can see.
And you can see. It's horrific. And it was just a regular thing for these people. Look at their faces. When you see the pictures, look at their faces. in the mob. They're smiling. They're like, well, it's a charred body right here. You saw it happen.
And some I know, that, like in 1916, people were so like amazed by photography that, you know, they was racist. They wanted to take pictures and use the new photography by doing, like, you know,
and being a part of that process.
Those are called picnics. That was called a picnic for them, a lynching. When they pick a nigga. That's where picnic came from.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I didn't know that.
Picnic, the word picnic came from where they lynching somebody, they pick a nigga. And that's where picnic, the word picnic came from. From what I read, and it was told, you know. I don't know. I wasn't back then.
It's funny. No one ever told you this type of stuff in school or anything like that.
No. Why would they?
I said that in my last video. You didn't learn this in elementary school. You didn't remember hearing it in middle school, high school, college, graduate school, nothing. None of this. Nothing. It's called selective American amnesia. And we've got to be better than that. We've got to do better than that. We have to know the whole story.
So, they was like amazed by the new camera, new photography stuff. So, when they do a lynching, they couldn't wait to take pictures. You know what I'm saying? They couldn't wait to use our news photography for, you know.
Guys, do me a favor. When you get a chance, Google Jesse Washington lynching. It pops right up. And you will see what we're talking about. It's actually amazing to see that human beings, they didn't care. It was like they were roasting a hot dog and not a person who they've just mutilated, tortured, beaten, and convinced to say he was guilty. He was convinced to say that. And then they're just standing there taking pictures like it's nothing. So they took pictures and they put them on postcards. So they could send it around to everybody, you know, just like you going to Disneyland. Back then, the postcards sold for 30 cents, which means they'd be $2.30 with inflation today. A couple of postcards. Well, let me back up. But the Waco people had no problem with everything that was happening. However, the pictures got published, so the nation started to see this ain't good. The feelings start, people started to be, what's it called now? Woke.
Oh.
People started to awaken that this is not good. Are you not seeing what we're seeing? This was a human being. And some of the pictures even went across the pond in London. And one of the newspaper men over in London, he said, and I'm paraphrasing here, he said that how can civilized people stand around and see a burning man and they're standing there with glee? He said, there has never been a savage who was as cruel as those people. Because remember, back then they thought that black people were just savages. They thought Native Americans were savages. And so he was saying he's never heard of a savage who was so cruel as these civilized people. So they took the torso from off the post and they dragged it through the town. More things are falling off, more people are collecting them and selling them as souvenirs. Finally, they dropped the body off and they laid it there until the end of the day when a constable came by, saw the body, and he decided to bury it. Whew.
A lot of stories sound similar.
Yeah.
From back then.
So the NAACP sent a lady down to investigate everything that had happened. She was going around asking different questions about the different things that happened. Now it was determined, and not from that lady, but just from all the different documents and people reporting different things, that Jesse didn't even do it. Her husband did it. But they had convinced him to say he was guilty so that they would protect him.
Hold up. Jesse didn't do it. Her husband did.
Her husband was the one that killed her, not Jesse. Yeah. So after the London guy said what he said about no savage being as cruel, one of the Waco officials retorted and said, well, hey, this is a warning to black people. Don't commit crime. That's how cold and callous they were. That's crazy.
Even the law was savages.
Even the law. So that's actually one of the main components that kickstarted the anti-lynching movement that the NAACP started. It was that moment of that boy roasting in front of 15,000 people, and they just didn't care. They were all about it. So thanks to the NAACP, for putting it out there, all these different stories out there, so they could garner public opinion and change public opinion so that these things would stop happening. This was one of the most horrific stories that I have heard thus far, and I'm still digging. This is my third mukbang. But to me, it's like we have to learn our past in order for us to go. In order for us to go forward, we have to know what happened. All of us, because we're saying now, we all are in this together, but we can't have, and I'll say again, selective American amnesia where we forget this part, but in school everybody's learning this part. We all have to be in it together, so we all have to learn these things. So again, I encourage you to, take some time out, research also some of these stories that I've told, the Emmett Till story, the Mary Turner story, and now the Jesse Washington story, because they are very enlightening. And I just feel for those children. Most, they were children. Even Mary Turner, who she had just turned 20. So again, I would like you to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for tuning in. I have another mukbang out shortly. We're going to continue to eat on this. This is Saturday, so we're having a lovely time. So thanks again, guys, for tuning in. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, did I get something wrong? Did I get something right? Tell us down at the bottom, okay? We appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and you guys have a great evening.